it was my choice. It was my choice as to whether I'm going to let these 5 men take more from me than what they already have taken, or if I'm going to try and do something, not just for myself, as you say, but for everybody else who's going through this.
I'm Carol Ofori, and this is The Comeback, a podcast about resilience, healing, and the strength it takes to keep moving forward. Some experiences are so horrific, so unimaginable, that they have the power to break a person completely. But sometimes, in the aftermath of tragedy, a different story emerges. One of resilience, one of strength, and one of refusing to be defined by what has happened. Now, back in March 2008, Jes Foord experienced an act of violence that no one should ever have to endure. She was brutally attacked and raped by a group of men, an experience that would have left most of us broken. Instead, she chose to fight back, not just for herself, but for every survivor. Today, Jess is the founder of the Jes Foord Foundation, an organization dedicated to helping rape survivors reclaim their power, find healing, and definitely rewrite their own stories. This story is a story of strength, of defiance, and of course, of the comeback. Jes Foord, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Geez, I mean, we've sat down before on my radio show, and I'm still in awe at the experience that you've had and what you've turned the experience into, which has been a story of survival, of resilience, and for fighting for survivors. So let's go back to 2008. And I hope it doesn't make you too uncomfortable to relive the experience. But for somebody who's never heard what happened to Jes Foord, can you walk us through that day?
Oh, of course. So it was a usual Sunday morning, no great plans. And my dad gave me a call and said, would I like to go with him and our 5 dogs to a small dam in the Upper Highway area? I said to him, sounds great. And off we went. On our way to the dam, we passed 5 men walking along the road. We waved at them, they waved back. We didn't think anything else of it.
Wow.
And we got to where the dam was. We offloaded all the dogs and we started playing with them. We were throwing sticks into the water. You know, we were just, all of our focus was on the animals and what they were doing.
Yeah.
I then remember being just like this screaming and shouting came from behind me. And I turned around to be met by the barrel of a gun in my face. And I think if I close my eyes, I can still see that image. I think it will be with me for the rest of my life. And straight away, we both sort of put our hands in the air and said, you know, take whatever you want. And they took my cell phone, my dad's cell phone. They took all the jewelry I'd been given for my 21st. They then started asking us for money. And we were at a dam. There was no need to have money with us, so we didn't have any money on us. And they then said to us they want the keys to the bakkie. So straight away, my dad gave them the keys, and I think at that point, they then started pulling us and up to where the bakkie was parked under the tree. When we got to the bakkie, they put me in the passenger side, they put my dad in the back. They tried over and over to get it started. At one point, my dad even offered to start it for them so that they could just take the vehicle and go. They then pushed me out and threw my dad out the back and said to us, just go. And this feeling of a relief came over me. I mean, we live in South Africa. We've all heard a story of someone being hijacked or someone being robbed, and we all sort of, oh my gosh, this is it. This is happening. Yeah. And they said to us, go. So we just walked. We didn't know where. We walked away from where they were, and they then came up behind us again. This time they were a lot more violent, a lot more angry, and they really started to shove and push us. And we then realized that they were pushing us to the overflow where the one dam flowed into the other, and that it created this ditch, which was about 2-3 meters high. They got us to the top of the ditch. They pushed my dad, and they then pushed me in, and then they climbed through the bottom dam to meet us at the bottom of the ditch. And they took my dad to one side where they tied his hands to his legs to a tree. They then took his little fishing hat off his head and they shoved it in his mouth with a knife. The one stayed with my dad. The other 4 then turned to me. They started kissing me up my neck, telling me they loved me, calling me all sorts of horrific things. They then pushed me to the floor, pulled my panties to my knees, and the first one climbed on. Then the second one climbed on. Then the third one climbed on. And then the fourth one climbed on. And you often hear of people talking about out-of-body experiences, and you picture them, like in the movies, floating in the sky, looking down on their body. It was honestly as if my body was not my own. It was like I was paralyzed. I had no control over what they were asking me to move backwards and forwards. I physically couldn't move. At one point, one of the men put his penis to my lips and told me to open my mouth. My mouth would not open. It was as if my body and mind completely were separate. And I think what that made me realize is that when somebody rapes you, they take your body. But what is your body? It's a physical thing. You can hold it, you can touch it, you can hurt it. But what really makes up each and every one of us? Your mind, your personality, your spirit. Those are not physical things. You can't hold those in your hand. So nobody can take that away from you unless you let them. So on that day, something was taken from me that I could not prevent. But from that day going forward, it was my choice. It was my choice as to whether I'm going to let these 5 men take more from me than what they already have taken, or if I'm going to try and do something, not just for myself, as you say, but for everybody else who's going through this. I think that was one of the things that really, really stood out for me is, obviously, after this had happened, I started hearing a lot more about who it's happened to, where it's happened, how it's happened, and I realized how often it was happening, especially in South Africa. And I realized that I had my community behind me. The whole community rallied together, family, friends. It was incredible. Yet I still felt so alone with the process that you go through and the systems that you go through. And that's when I decided, no, I want to be that someone for the people who have nobody, because if this is how I feel with this support, what are they feeling like with nothing?
I can't imagine going through what you went through. I think a lot of women are completely torn by just one person violating them in that way. And the fact that you had to experience this multiple times by different people, and all of this while your biggest guardian is watching, your father. How has he been? How have the two of you been since that?
Yeah, I think
you were 21. Sorry to cut you off. You were 21 when this happened. So you were still very young. You were a baby.
Yeah.
You were daddy's baby.
Yeah, I was 21 when it happened. And it's always, when I do a public speaking or I speak at a school, the first question that always comes up is, how's your dad? Or the dogs. It's always a battle to see who's first, dad or dogs.
Right.
But I think for me, a lot of people say, why didn't your dad do anything, or why didn't he help you? And for me, I think people need to take a step back and realize, first of all, there's the obvious that he literally had a knife down his throat. He couldn't. And if he had pushed harder, he was also tied up, but if for some reason he had managed to break free or whatever, they had a gun and 2 knives. They 100% would have killed him. And where would that have left me? It would have left me gang raped with a dead father. But the situation that I was left in is, yes, I was gang raped, but as soon as those men left, my guardian, my father, was there for me from the second they left. And I would any day, over and over, take that over him, have trying to do, I don't know, some miraculous thing and try and get out of it and end up dead. Yeah. So in my eyes, he did exactly what he should have done. He was incredible. The fact that I had someone there for me the second after it was all over means more to me than anything else could have.
Where does a 21-year-old start putting the pieces of her life back together after that?
Do they ever?
Yeah.
I think you've got to take it one day at a time. And I think so many people say that. One of my very, very close friends, it's like her mantra to all of us is, one day at a time, you've got this.
Yeah.
And it's so true, because if you wake up and you go, right, I've been raped. What the hell is happening for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. It's horrific. Or you wake up and you go, right, I've just been raped. How am I going to get through today? Or how am I going to get through this hour? Or whatever it may be, the next 5 minutes. You have to take it step by step, because you can't try and imagine. I mean, nobody knows whether you've been raped or not, nobody knows what their future is.
Yeah.
So you've got to take it one step at a time. And like I said earlier, you've got to do it for you. They've taken something you couldn't prevent. The rest is up to you.
Yeah.
And yes, there will be days where you wake up and you go, I can't do this. I have those days. It's standard at the office. It's called a duvet day, and anyone can call a duvet day at any time. It's like your get out of jail free card. But, and I think it should be a standard thing in every company, every business, that sometimes you do wake up and you go, I can't today. Everything has become too much. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Why me? This is not fair. All the emotions come back and hit you, and you can't. So have that day, stay in bed, scroll social media, Netflix and chill, do whatever you need to do to get through that day. But then the next day, make sure you get up and go to work or go to school or phone a friend or do whatever it is you need to do, because the second you start doing that every day, that's when it becomes a pattern, and that's when you start getting enveloped in this whole I can't do this. And you are bigger than that. You are stronger than that. No matter who you are, you've got to just take that one step to get yourself out, to find that one person to be able to talk to be able to get you out of that slump, as people call it, and push you through to the other side.
Who was the one person to push you through to the other side?
I had many. I had my family. I had my friends. My friends have been unbelievable. Still to this day, they literally, on the way here, I was getting messages. We got this. You got this. Go, Jess. It's people. I don't think people realize how important it is to have someone. And if you don't have a person, have a dog, have a cat, have a teddy bear, have something that you can talk to. I was talking to a young girl the other day. Sorry, I'm just going to have some water quickly.
Sure.
Otherwise you can have.
That's so good.
Where was I? So I was talking to a young girl the other day, and she was saying to me, it's been I think 2 years now, and she's been in counselling, and she just doesn't feel like it's getting better. And she says her counsellor keeps wanting to talk about the incident, but she just can't. So the way I tried to explain it to her is, it's not real until you've said it out loud. And when I say it out loud, you can't just say, I was raped, or any trauma. I was in a car accident. I lost my job, whatever. It's not real until you say it out loud. You can't deal with it until you've said it out loud. So it's happened, and it really hurt, and it's really horrible, and it's destroying you. But I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. And you need to be able to go, I was raped. And not just I was raped, but I was raped, and I remember the guys holding me down, and I remember the feeling of their spit on my neck, and you have to go through the horrible, horrible details. You have to relive it to be able to physically, like the science behind it. I'm not a science person, but the science behind it, you have to be able to re-experience it and say it out loud for it to be real, so that your brain can comprehend it and be able to start picking up the pieces to move forward. And my advice to her was, she's been with this counsellor for so long, she says she feels so comfortable. I said, maybe you need to rip off the plaster and just for this, go to a new counsellor. Someone where you can walk in and go, I've been putting this off for so long, I need to do this. Don't say anything, I'm talking, vomit it out.
Yeah.
Because when a trauma happens, and again, any trauma, it's like a ball of poison goes inside you. It starts eating and literally at your insides. Scientifically. It gives you nausea, it gives you nightmares, it makes you angry, it upsets your stomach, it gives you headaches, all the things.
Yeah.
And the only way to get rid of it is to talk about it, because when you talk about it, you're spitting little bits of that poison out. And every time you cry about it, you're crying little bits of that poison out. So the more you talk, the more you cry, the smaller and smaller that ball of poison is getting, until eventually it's so little that you're able to deal with it. You're able to carry it around with you. It'll never go away. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, it'll get better. It'll go away and you'll forget about it. You won't.
Yeah.
But you learn to deal. And I always compare it to if you fell and broke your arm and the bone was sticking out and you've got this big scar now where you had, 5 stitches. Some days, once it's healed, you won't even notice that scar. You'll go through 2-3 weeks without even looking at that scar. And then one day, it's really cold outside, or you're lying in the sun and you notice it's gone extra red or whatever. And you look at it and you go, I remember that day. It was horrible. I remember crying, and I remember being rushed to the hospital, and I remember how sore the stitches were. And then maybe for a few moments you'll relive that pain. But then the next day you're not going to wake up and be like, oh my gosh, my arm is so sore. You'll go, oh, okay, it's a scar. And then you will get back to a point where you'll forget it for a while. And it'll be 17 years again for me on the 2nd of March. So it's 17 years and I still have days where it comes back. But I also have months where I won't think about it in depth. Obviously it's different for me because it's what I do now. But I won't. I'll go months without it affecting me, and then all of a sudden, oh my word! But then I've just got to find those people who I trust and be like, guys, I'm having a wobbly, pick me up.
Right. And so after this happened, these guys were eventually apprehended, and from that, you were able to get some laws changed to suit rape survivors. Can you walk us through the process of getting these terrible people off the streets, and what was that like for you? And are they still in jail, or are they now part of society? And
so I'll do that in 2 parts. With the catching of them, straight away we were actually found by 2 ladies walking their horses, and they were incredible. They took the reins off their horses to tie our dogs back up. For those of you who are wanting to know about the dogs, they're all fine. And they immediately called the police. So by the time we had walked back from the dam to the closest area, I don't know what you would call it, house. By the time we got there, the police were actually waiting for us. And the dog unit immediately went back to where the bakkie was parked. They were able to pick up a scent. They found the bakkie like 2-3 k's down the road in a tree. Clearly driving wasn't their strong suit, and from there the dog unit were able to pick up the scent of them on foot, and the dog unit ran for 16 hours chasing that scent until all 5 of them were caught. So there are so many people out there who tell me that the police are not dedicated, the police aren't doing their jobs. 16 hours. They were carried out on stretchers, the police, not the dogs, from dehydration, because they ran non-stop for 16 hours until they had caught them. So our police are dedicated. I always compare it. I like comparing things. If you're playing a game of hide and seek, if you've got a 10-second lead, you're going to catch the person. If you give them 3 hours, your chances are less. So the quicker we report, the quicker we get it out there, the quicker the leads are to be able to catch the perpetrators. So all 5 of them were caught. We had a court date set for exactly a year later, which was unheard of. I think it was due to the publicity of the case. It went straight to Durban High Court, and all of them were sentenced. The one that was not involved in the rape got 15 years for being an accomplice and for armed robbery and attempted murder, I think. And then the other 4 got 25 years for rape. Sorry, the one was only 16 at the time, so he was a juvenile. So he did 9 years at a juvenile centre, which then I was contacted and asked if I would like to sit in a room with him so that he could apologize and I could decide if he should go on to prison. So luckily I had a lawyer on the foundation board at that time, and she took the reins and she said, not a sausage. And she organized that I didn't have to do that. And then I had the option of being notified when they come out or not. And I chose not to. It's obviously different for everybody, and there is no right or wrong. Just for me personally, I did not want to be able to know when they're coming out, because it would have just been too much stress and too much worry.
Anxiety.
But I know they all got no parole, so I know they were all in there for the full time. The only one that could possibly be out at the moment is the one who was in for 15 years. So he would be getting out this year or last year. But I don't know where he is or what he is. I can't even remember their names. I chose not to let that have a hold over me. And yeah, I have kids now, so for that sake, I want to make sure that, you know, my stresses are separate and I don't have to involve my children and my family in that.
Right. And you went on to get some laws in favor of rape survivors. You want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, sure. So I worked with the DNA Project on that. It was an incredible experience. So the law used to be that on arrest, what they wanted to do is on arrest, they wanted to take a swab of the inside of the potential perpetrator's mouth to be able to get a DNA sample.
Mm-hmm.
And the excuse for not doing that is that it was too much of a violation on the perpetrator. So I went in and I explained to them what is done when you have a rape kit done. And that just for purposes of radio's sake, there is an earbud put in every orifice of your body. They take hair samples, they take skin scrapings, they scrape under your nails. It's horrific. I said to him, as a victim, that is a violation. An earbud in the mouth, don't even go there. If someone gets pulled over for drinking and driving, you're allowed to take their blood. That's more of a violation than an earbud in the mouth. So yeah, we're very, very proud to say we got that law changed, and now DNA is taken on arrest. So it's not, you don't have to be proven guilty before your DNA is taken. It is taken on arrest and put into the system. So hopefully that will also, it has brought up any previous. So if that person has been convicted for something previously or they haven't been able to catch them, that DNA match will come up and flag. So
wow.
Yeah, it was an incredible thing to be a part of.
Sure. From something so horrific to now your incredible foundation. Tell us about how that started and what do you do as the Jes Foord Foundation?
So the foundation actually started because I had obviously the passion to be able to want to help people. But the community all came together and they didn't have it in those days, but a GoFundMe pretty much. And they all raised this money and it went into a trust to be able to cover any of my or my family's medical expenses. And we said, we're very fortunate to be on medical aid. We don't need it. Then they said, okay, put it for counselling. And they said, again, medical aid, we don't need it. Then they said, okay, go on a holiday as a family, you need this. And then East Coast Radio, I won the big favor. And we were given an incredible holiday away through East Coast Radio's big favor. And I then said, well, can I please use this? I put it back to the contributors and said, can I use this money to start the foundation that I'm wanting to do? And there was 80,000 Rand raised in less than, I think, 72 hours. Wow. So that was the money that was used to register the foundation and get it up and running and get it going and help the first few survivors and grow it into the foundation that it is now 17 years later.
And 17 years later, what would you say the foundation does? It's how many survivors are you helping? What are the statistics you're working with as a foundation for this? Because it's quite scary when you hear numbers of people that are victims.
Yeah, no, it's but I mean the numbers. I think one of the most recent were 54,000 rapes were reported. I think in 2003, if I'm not mistaken. And there's no way that that's a realistic number. People are being raped every 17 seconds. I mean, people can't report. There is nowhere to report. If you live in an underlying township, how do you get to a Tutuzela Centre to report? How do you get to a police station to report? You can't afford the taxi fare. You can't walk there. There's a million factors. So as a foundation, we run various programs. My most special and close to my heart is our mentorship program, where we work with 50 young boys. We work with them over a 6-month period, and we cover a variety of topics from a man in the world, having a vision and a career, having respect for women, obviously consent, no means no, sexuality, hygiene. We cover it all over those 6 months. And I really feel we're living in a society that is teaching people how not to be abused. Why are we not teaching people not to do it in the first place? Yeah. It really it boggles my mind. So that is my absolute baby of a project. I'm very grateful Johnson's Workwear sponsor that. They sponsor it in its entirety, and they have done for 7 years, I think now. And it's an incredible program. It really is just so close to my heart to see these young men go from potential gangsters, potential whatever the case may be, to these wholesome young men who hang the washing for their mom, help sweep out the floor, help walk their younger brother or sister to school. Like it's just really bringing back that wholesome values within communities. So that's my passion project. We then have, obviously we do free counselling. That is something we offer. We also don't offer it just to the survivors, but we do it to their families as well, or boyfriend or friend who was there, or whoever is directly affected. We will offer the counselling for them as well, because how are you going to heal unless the people around you are able to help? So we offer free counselling, awareness talks. We do awareness talks at schools, communities, corporates, and there we speak to from 10 people to thousands of people, and that is creating awareness of where to go, what to do if you have been raped, things to do to prevent it, and also just knowledge of where to go in your community and who's able to help you.
Right. What was the initial response from people when you started the foundation and advocating for survivors?
It was incredible. Again, my community, the Upper Highway area, shout out. They have been unbelievable and still are to this day. It's amazing to see the support that we've had over the years, and to just be able to watch this program and the foundation grow from where it was, from the little idea that I had to maybe holding people's hand through a process to now the huge foundation that it is today. Yeah.
And the impact of the foundation on your healing journey, how has it impacted you?
I think it has definitely helped. I'm constantly spitting out my poison. It's been a healing journey for me, and it's been incredible to be able to help so many other women, and to really understand, and I think to be on another level and to just sit with another woman and be like, I got you, I got you, I feel you, and I got you, we will get through this. It's incredible.
Now, many survivors feel like they just never will be whole again after an experience like this. What would you say to one listening right now who just feels so empty and feels like they just can never feel like themselves ever again?
I think give it time. Don't rush yourself. Don't compare yourself. Never compare yourself. So many people say, oh, but what happened to me isn't as bad as what happened to that person, or I'll never get through it because I don't have this, or I don't have that, or whatever the case may be. Give yourself time. Take it one day at a time. Don't rush yourself. Be kind to yourself, and know at the end of the day, no matter what the situation was, you did nothing wrong. You are not the person who did the thing that was bad. You are the receiver of the thing that was bad, and you are an incredible person, and the fact that you're still here today shows that you're a survivor. The fact that you woke up to listen to this, the fact that you pressed play, shows that you have not given up. That is something. Take the little things. Wake up every morning and take the small wins, whether it's opening your eyes, getting up and going and making yourself coffee. That is a win. That is something that you wouldn't have done if you stayed in bed and cried all day. So take the little wins. Don't put pressure on yourself. You got this, girl. You can do this.
And what would you say you've learned about yourself through this journey?
I'm very stubborn.
Okay.
I think I had an idea. I wanted to start this foundation, and boy, have I had a lot of people who tell me it's not possible. You'll never do it. You were too young. You don't know the rules. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I've just gone, yes, I can. And I've done it. And I think my mom always tells the story of when I was in preschool, like when I was about 3 or something. The teacher came and she said, this one's feisty, but it's going to serve her well one day. And that's exactly what it's done. I may be stubborn, but hey, I've put it to good use. Let's hope.
Yeah. You know, I always love, Oprah always says in life, your life will always steer you on the path that you need to be on. And when you go off path, it will always find you and redirect you back on the path you're supposed to be on. I personally believe this journey, as challenging as it may be to sort of filter through why certain things have happened in my life, for example, to get to the point where I am today. Does that statement resonate with you at all? Do you feel like this was the path that your calling was to save other women on their journey?
100%. I 1,000% believe everything happens for a reason. And there's no way I would be doing this if it hadn't happened to me. And it's just given me a drive, it's given me a passion, it's enabled me to go through the system, to see where the flaws are, to do my best to try and correct it. And I would not change it for anything.
That's incredible. The fact that you wouldn't change everything you experienced.
No. It was, I don't know how long, let's say half an hour of my life to be able to help people for the rest of my life. I mean, there's no comparison. It was 100%. I would go through it again and again to be able to do what I'm doing today.
Yeah. Well, Jess, your story is the definition of comeback. It literally is. I mean, rising after unimaginable experiences and just horrific experiences with a loved one right by your side through this trauma. I guess my final question would be, what does the comeback mean to you?
Just don't give up. Comeback means don't give up. On the days you feel like you can't do it, there will be a comeback. You will find something to help you come back.
Yeah. Never give up.
Never give up.
It's powerful, it's a simple saying, but...
Yeah, it reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen that picture. I remember it from school days. I think it's a frog strangling. It's been eaten by pelican. A frog that's been eaten by a pelican, and the frog strangling, and it says never give up. I think one of my teachers had it on their wall or something, but it's true. They just keep fighting every day. Every day is a fight, and something that I always say to people is, today is your day. That day was their day. The day you stayed in bed was not your day, but today is your day. And if you can find one thing every day to make today your day, then you've done it.
You've done it, Jes Foord. Thank you so much. I can't thank you more. I just can't thank you enough for coming and sharing your story, the work you're doing for so many survivors, the heart you've put into changing laws and really fighting the good fight for the most vulnerable. Because, I mean, I can only imagine that as a rape survivor, there's so many things that a lot of us don't understand and will never understand. And the fact that you've walked this journey and you walk it with others with that vulnerability, that sensitivity is really, really so special. So thank you again for chatting to us on The Comeback. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and for the opportunity. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Now, if this conversation has moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And make sure you're following The Comeback with me, Carol Ofori, so you never, ever, ever, ever miss another story that could inspire you or maybe somebody you know.
The Comeback with Carol Ofori is an East Coast Radio podcast.